What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, I'm running another strong Ultra League team. If you guys have been following me on Twitter, you guys would have seen my post that I have been stuck at 2990s. Yes, under 10 elo away from Legend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So this was one of the teams. I ran two teams. This was team one that I ran in that elo range. And it was incredibly strong. It's a variant of the Toxicroak team that I did in the last video, but relying on some more bulk here on Giratina Altered and some better neutral matchups overall. Very strong team. Let me know what you guys think, and let's go and get right into the video. Alright, getting into the first battle. Giratina versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash. This is one of the tougher Pokemon you're going to be facing off against. And what I found is if you can catch an Ice Punch on Steelix, that's going to be very beneficial. So we're going to go ahead and swap, but we don't catch it right there. Unfortunately, Alolan Sandslash shreds through both Giratina and Steelix. So what I like to do is just swap into Steelix, hoping to try to catch an Ice Punch, waste some energy, and then draw out something like a Toxicroak here, for example, that Giratina could come in and farm down pretty healthily and have a good amount of energy, because we do have Shadow Force, which is really nice against the Alolan Sandslash. So Mud Bomb will take us out. Unfortunately, we're still in the twos. And we're going to go ahead and come in with that Giratina Altered. We're going to look to go for a Dragon Claw here and then try to farm down. I also decide to, I do decide to go for the Excellent. But we should be able to farm down right here. Mud Bomb does a decent amount of neutral damage, not too much though. But Giratina Altered can easily survive multiple Mud Bombs, which they would not be able to get to. Hopefully we can get to the Shadow Force, which we do. And this is where we put a lot of pressure down on the Alolan Sandslash, because if they decide not to shield, that's a lot of damage, but they did. So I'm going to counter swap now into Tapu Fini, and they're deciding to stay in. This tells me that maybe their core broken, might be a Charizard back there, which would be really nice. We're going to go ahead and shield. It is going to be the Drill Run, but it's actually a Tapu Fini Mirror. So this is where things get very, very interesting. I am very far ahead on energy, and we land the Moonblast, which is huge. So the hardest hitting move left in this game, I feel like, is going to be the Moonblast, and I'm going to try to call it correctly here, which I do. So that's a huge amount of energy blocked. I can load up to double Surf right here and just farm down, because they're not going to be able to get to a Moonblast in time. But remember, the Sandslash has energy. So we're going to go ahead and counter swap once it comes in to try to catch the charge move. And we do! This is huge! This is absolutely huge! And they decide it was going to be the Ice Punch, which almost KOs us. They're going to go ahead and farm down, but we have back-to-back Surfs ready to go. So what was a very tough game turned around because of just how good and flexible Tapu Fini can be in a lot of neutral matchups. I think that's where it really shines, is its neutral gameplay. We don't KO with the Surf, but we do KO with Water Gun, so that's going to be a good game. Alright, moving into the next battle. We have Giratina versus Shadow Abomasnow. Another bad one. We got to swap out right away, though, because of the Powder Snow damage. And Dragon Tail right here actually puts in a lot of work, and they're deciding to stay in. And Steelix is by far one of my favorite Pokemon for the Ultra League now. It's just incredibly bulky. I love it, and we do see a Nidoqueen come in. Now, you might be asking about my stats over there, the IVs. This is the best one I had to be able to be useful in the Ultra League. So I'm hoping to get a better one and power that up with XL, all that jazz later on. But for now, this one just works. So we're going to go ahead and shield. It is going to be Earth Power. And this is where Steelix really shines, is in some of these matchups where it kind of is. It could be one-sided by the opponent, but if you shield their hardest hitting move, after these attack drops, Earth Power won't do that much. I'm going to go ahead and swap back out now into Giratina, because I need to get this Abomasnow onto the field. Because it's obviously, it core breaks me, right? It does very well against Tapu Fini and Giratina Altered here. So we're going to go ahead and no shield. I'm hoping I can get two Dragon Claws off against the Abomasnow. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the first one. I am one Shadow Claw away right there. But what I think I do in this battle is I accidentally over tap. So we're going to go ahead and go. No, it was a CMP tie. Okay. So, again, a lot of neutral damage. We got the Abomasnow out onto the field. We got its energy as well, which is huge. So now it is Steelix's time to shine. We're going to go ahead and go for Breaking Swipe. May have been able to get away with the farm down right there, but I really wanted this Abomasnow out of the game. And now we're going to see what the final Pokemon is going to be. They come in with Nidoqueen, which is interesting. So I'm like, man, this is going to be Earth Power. We're going to let it go. But what is the final Pokemon? It's a Shadow Charizard, so Tapu Fini. Loving this right here. We can easily just Water Gun down. There's really no reason to throw Surf, just because of how much damage we're doing with fast moves. You just want to get as many through as possible. So we're just going to go ahead and just fast move down. They unfortunately don't have the damage to be able to take me out. And even if they did, right, even if they got 2 more Blast Burns off, we still have Dragon Tail on the Steelix, so that is going to be a good game, very well played. Alright, moving into the next one, Shadow Dragonite on the lead. Tough lead, all 3 Pokemon. This is what's great, is Shadow Dragonite has a tough time against this team just because of the resistances and damage that we have, but they're deciding to stay in, and I'm getting a free Breaking Swipe off right here. This is huge. This is absolutely huge that they decided to stay in, because we get a shield and they swap out, and their best answer for me is a Golisopod, which is fine as well. What you're going to see if you run a Steelix, I highly recommend you do, and even try to run the best one that you can. Obviously, if you got the XLs and the good IVs, like, go for it. But what you'll find is in a lot of these neutral matchups that would be going in favor of something like a Golisopod with Liquidation, because of Dragon Tail and because of Breaking Swipe, Steelix can just overcome these matchups. It's ridiculous how tanky this Pokemon can get. And how much damage it can do. So we let the Liquidation go through. We're going to counter swap back into Giratina here because the switch clocks are out of alignment, which means the Shadow Dragonite can't swap in just yet, and I can get ahead on energy here with Giratina Altered. Now they do swap in the Dragonite, which is fine, but because Giratina Altered is so tanky, and the reason I also kept Steelix alive because they were very hesitant to come in with anything, right? So I thought, you know what, maybe there's some play in the back. We get a shield with Dragon Claw, and then we're going to be able to get to another one in time, and this is going to be enough to KO. We still have Tapu Fini. We still have a shield, which is fantastic. Boom! Down it goes, and we will see what the final Pokemon is going to be. Let's see here. They come in, and it's going to be Tentacruel in the back. So this is obviously why they were having a tough time swapping in right away. I guess Golisopod could have come in sooner, but still, Dragon Tail and Breaking Swipe could have taken that if I wanted to. But here, this is going to be a good game. We're going to come in with Steelix and look to go for a Breaking Swipe to apply the debuff, and hopefully we can. We're going to shield as well. Applying the debuff is way more important than getting a shield on Tapu Fini, keeping the shield on Tapu Fini, because now they're going to be forced to swap out into Golisopod if they want to stay in. So we get the attack drop. We're going to try to go for another Breaking Swipe, but unfortunately we don't get there in time. I did at the last second try to see if I could swap out, but I couldn't, so Scald will take us out. Tapu Fini now is going to come in, and they're going to probably look to try to sack swap on the Surf, so I'm just going to go ahead and commit to the farm down, which we do, and now we can go for the Surf here to KO, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. Again, leveraging those neutral matchups with Steelix really benefited us right there, and having out-of-sync matchups. Good game. Alright, Greninja on the lead. Greninja's a Pokemon that this team can deal with. Steelix and Giratina Altered, obviously, got to watch out for the super effective damage that it can put out with Night Slash and Hydro Cannon. But Tapu Fini is built to take down a Greninja, not necessarily with super effective damage because of Water Gun and Surf, but you got the resistances there with the Fairy Water typing. Now, I decide to swap into Steelix here to leverage the typing and catch a Night Slash. That's a lot of energy wasted, and they counter swap into Skeledurs right here, which is fine by me. I'm going to go ahead and go for Breaking Swipes. And once again, this is another scenario where Steelix can put in a lot of work in the mid game if I want it to. Now, I decide to no shield right here, as it is going to be Shadow Ball. It's not enough to KO. And just because Skeledurs is countering with Incinerate doesn't mean that it's going to be able to farm down because of just the raw damage we're doing here with Breaking Swipe and Dragon Tail. So hopefully I can get to another one in time, which I think we would have had they not thrown right here. So we're going to let this go. We're going to respect the energy throw because that's a benefit to us, because then they don't have as much energy on the back end. So we're going to come in with the Tapu Fini right now and look to water gun down, as we will be able to get quite a bit of energy here, which is going to be nice. Now, let's see what decides to come in. It is going to be Clefable. Okay, so this is kind of a tough one, and what I like to do with Tapu Finis is make sure I have excess energy at all times, just in case they decide to swap out. Now, we get a shield there, and I'm always making sure I go up to Moonblast. We get a shield there with Surf. They're obviously very scared of, and these are the hardest hitting moves left in this game, right? Meteor Mash and Moonblast, because Night Slash and Hydro Cannon on Greninja are not going to do that much. So what we have to do in order to win is catch a charge move. We get 2 shields right there. So I'm going to go ahead and swap here into Giratina Altered, hoping to catch the Moonblast. Hopefully it was, and it was a Moonblast. Beautiful. Boom! Down we go. We come in with Tapu Fini, and now we're in a beautiful situation where I can safely overload right here and go for double Moonblast to win this game, as they're going to try to swap into Greninja, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and overload again on energy, maxing out 100 energy, because now I know I should be able to win the race. Here we go. Boom! Down it goes. I should be able to win the race to the next Moonblast. I think Surf might have been enough, but just ensuring that we get the W here with back-to-back Moonblast, so that is going to be a good game, very well played. Boom! Down it goes. Alright, moving into the next one. Giratina versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Once again, I mean, we see before how this matchup turns out, and then once again, I'm going to try to catch the charge move. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to shield right here. I stayed in a bit too long. But I'm trying to catch the Ice Punch. That's the whole play. That's the only way you can kind of core break this, and we don't get it. So, unfortunately now, this is a worst case scenario, and odds are we're not going to come back from this. When you have something that's a core breaker, like Alolan Sandslash, and you can't catch the energy, it gets very tough very quickly. So we just do some chip damage with Breaking Swipe, because there's no way I'm getting to an Earthquake. There's no way they would let me. But at least applying a debuff might be able to give Tapu Fini a chance to do a lot of damage, or not take as much damage is what I meant. So we're going to go ahead and come in with Tapu Fini. They swap into Golisopod, which is still like a nightmare of a matchup, because just the neutral damage that it can do to us with Shadow Claw and Aerial Ace. So this is looking like a good game. I mean, the worst case scenario happened. We didn't catch the energy. They didn't swap out like we saw before with the Toxicroak. We didn't draw out anything. So I got to swap in here to Giratina Altered to try to recover some sort of game here, as Aerial Aces are still going to be landing, and we're just going to try to go for Dragon Claws and maybe try to commit to the farm down if we can. I think the only way we really win this game is if we can get a Shadow Force off and there's like a Charizard in the back or something. So we're going to go ahead and go for the back-to-back Dragon Claws. They come in with Alolan Sandslash, though, and now I'm like, maybe I no-shield. I'm going to go ahead and no-shield and come in with Tapu Fini and see if I can Water Gun down, because maybe it is in fact a Charizard back there. And if I can get double Surfs, we're looking pretty good, but I decide to let it go. And yeah, that's going to be a good game. If it was a Charizard back there, it's just going to be Golisopod. They farm me down. And I shielded the Drill Run. They Blast Burn me anyways. So good game, very well played. You can't win them all, and Alolan Sandslash is a good core breaker. Alright, time to get into some positive leads. Swampert is one of them. You love seeing Swampert. Yay, Swamperts all day long. Our team does very well against it, even a Steelix. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but the Dragon Tail Breaking Swipe combination in the right situations is very oppressive to a Swampert, especially if they come into it and the Steelix has a lot of energy. So in this matchup, we're fine staying in. Earthquake is going to hurt, but it honestly doesn't do that much damage. It's quite a bit of neutral, but Not enough to get too concerned right here, as we will get to a Dragon Claw now, looking to force the first shield of this game from my opponent. So, Dragon Claw, they decide to let it go. All right, sweet. We take lead. We're going to go ahead and look to go for another Dragon Claw here against the Trevenant. Now, Trevenant can be kind of tough to deal with on this team, but I'm reading that, you know what, maybe, and we got a shield as well, so I'm going to go ahead and swap into Steelix. Maybe Swampert was the hardest counter to a Steelix, and Trevenant is the second best answer. So I'm going to go ahead and shield the first charge move, which is going to be Shadow Ball. They swap into Charizard, though, which is beautiful, because now you guys are going to see what Breaking Swipe can do. Dragon Tail and Breaking Swipe, I'm telling you guys, it's almost too good on an Ultra League Steelix. I know it gets a lot better if you have really good PvP IV, so I'm going to go ahead and shield. It was the Blast Burn. Switch Clock is coming back up, so we're going to go ahead and go for Breaking Swipe once again. If they decide to let this go, we get the farm down, and they did. So this is now very dangerous for them, because I can get a lot of energy. Yes, we get hit with Blast Burn, but after double Breaking Swipe debuff, it's honestly enough to survive. So this is now a very bad situation for their Trevenant because of Breaking Swipe. It just does so much, and they're going to be forced to throw energy, and if they don't and they try to commit to the farm down, things are going to be very tough for them. And you guys already seen this. Every Breaking Swipe that I get to throw makes Tapu Fini tankier. Just think about that. So we're going to counter swap now into Giratina Altered and look to go for a Dragon Claw. Unfortunately, they were in a lose-lose situation there. They need a lot of energy on Trevenant, but there's no way they survive long enough to get it. So good game. All right, moving to the next one. We have Cresselia on the lead. So this is kind of one of those leads where it can go either way. Both Pokemon are doing super effective damage to each other. Cresselia with the Moonblast and Giratina Altered with Shadow Claw and Shadow Force. So I decided to shield on the first Moonblast. I want to maintain a good amount of health here, and I want to see if I can just get a free Shadow Force. There's nothing as good as taking down a Cresselia with the boom, but we unfortunately get it shielded there. So they're going to go ahead and go for another Moonblast, which is fine. Giratina Altered can tank this, so we're going to go ahead and let it go. And then my hope now is that I can catch another Moonblast here on Steelix. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to swap right in. Steelix, again, very tanky already. Steel typing, going to be resisting the Moonblast. Doesn't hurt us whatsoever. And we draw out an Excadrill, which is very spicy. But obviously, it's going to shred me apart with the Mud Shot and Drill Run. So we're going to try to see if we can get to an Earthquake in time, but I don't. And they decide to throw. So they're out of energy right here, which I think is okay, because now Tapu Fini can come in and farm down. And this is a lot of health to farm down, right? Water Gun doing super effective damage. They're only going to be able to get to 1 Drill Run. I don't think they get to 2 in time, just because of how much energy it takes. So the Tapu Fini right here, we decide to shield. Remember, Cresselia is out of energy because of the Moonblast. So Tapu Fini now in a very good position here. In comes a Buzzwole, and now we have maximum boom potential. We have almost Shadow Force on the Giratina Alter. We got Moonblast here. Boom! One-shots. And we're going to counter swap now and look to go for Dragon Claws. So I think either way, this was a good game, right? Their call was me not throwing Moonblast and me throwing Surf. But as you guys are going to see, I have 3 Dragon Claws ready to go, because remember, we built up so much energy and then swapped and caught the Moonblast on Steelix. So we're going to go ahead and go for another one, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played, as Giratina Altered is going to be taking it right there against Cresselia eventually. That pool toy is so tanky, I tell you what. All right, moving into I believe this is the final battle. It's going to be a Nidoqueen lead, so very positive lead for us, and they swap out into Cresselia. So ideally what I want to do is swap into Steelix, but I mistime it. So, for all that I catch a lot of charge moves, I also miss charge moves as well, so I get hit with a Moonblast, which is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just go for the Shadow Force here. I can still be Nidoqueen is something we can handle with this team. Water Gun, Surf, Dragon Tail, and Breaking Swipe. So I go ahead and swap into Steelix now to get the farm down. They will be able to get Grass Knots off here. But Grass Knot, it just doesn't do that much damage. I mean, we're talking about a Steelix into a Cresselia. It's just not that much. And the more energy I can get with Steelix, the better the matchup is going to be against the Nidoqueen, because Nidoqueen has to land an Earth Power. And by that time, I know I have Earthquake, but honestly, Breaking Swipe and Dragon Tail is almost more oppressive. Like, they would be happy if I went for Earthquake because it won't KO them, but Breaking Swipes now just really start to add up. And because Switch Clocks are kind of misaligned, I might be able to swap into a Giratina Altered here. But ultimately, this is looking like a good position where I can safely shield the potential Earth Power, which it is, and I can save energy on the Steelix and swap back into Giratina, and we draw out a Greninja. So this is going to be a good game. This team is, for all that it's tanky, it's also very flexible. So going back and forth is actually really nice with this team because of the play that they have. And if there were, Steelix there might have had some play in the end game, obviously against Greninja, it doesn't have the best play. But it's still very strong to have a Breaking Swipe in your back pocket for when you need it. Now, obviously, Tapu Fini coming in right here is just gonna put in some work. We have 1-to-1 shield scenario still against my opponent, so we don't need to shield any of this. I need to watch out for Poison Fang from Nidoqueen, which is gonna be the charge move that's gonna hurt. So we're gonna go ahead and let these Hydro Cannons go through. They will decide to swap in, and I get a bit greedy. I should have just thrown the Surf right away. So I decide to no-shield. And we survive. I can go ahead and go for Surf now. And then I gotta swap into Steelix here to try to farm down the Greninja because, again, this Greninja has energy. It's still 1-to-1 shields, but we have a Breaking Swipe banked, which makes this that much better. But this Greninja can get to, thankfully I get another Dragon Tail through right there, which is huge, because we're going to go ahead and shield the Hydro Cannon, and then we CMP tie the Breaking Swipe, and this gets a bit dicey, because this is enough to KO. Boom, down we go, and then it's going to come down to Water Gun damage, and we survive thanks to Breaking Swipe, so good game, very well played. Again, this team overall, very, very strong. I use this through the 28-2900s. Overall, really nice positive sets. It's a different version of the Toxicroak team with the same backline of Tapu Fini and Steelix. I think those two Pokemon, whether you have them as your backline core or just on your team in general, lead, whatever, those two together are very strong in this meta. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.